Hi, glad you could join me today. If you'd like to paint along with me, there are links in the description to the paper and paints I'm using, but whatever you have around will work just fine. We're using acrylics on canvas paper today. So I'm just kind of penciling in the composition for this painting in front of you. It's nice to just kind of see what you want to do in pencil first. So that's what we're doing. And I think this is just a little bit too low, so I think I'm going to bring that tree line up and we're going to have a little bit of a smaller sky. I just want to have some more room for that river in the middle. So I decided for today's painting to just do some waterfalls. I really love painting waterfalls, and it's always best to practice by just doing a lot of what you want to get better at. And today that's waterfalls, so we're going to make, wow, a lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 waterfalls, a couple really big ones. I'm excited. I'm going to go with some traditional colors for today's painting. Sometimes I like those traditional, just blue sky, green grass, green trees, blue water. Sometimes other stuff's fun too, though. And you can paint whatever you want in your world. I just hope that you get out and get painting. So we're just about finished with that sky. We're just going to block in just blue color for the sky today, and then put in some very distinct clouds. I thought that would be fun. So when you're making your clouds, you want to put the most distinct white towards the top of the clouds, because that's where it's going to shine the brightest. And then the shadow will get lower on the clouds. And you can put them in layers. You just need to put a very strong white color with maybe some texture towards the front, towards the top of whatever you're putting in front of. And you can kind of see me doing that. And I'm just using a swirling brush motion and just kind of putting in a couple little wispy clouds too. And there's not just one color to clouds. Clouds are not just white, or in the evening just red or one color. There's lots of colors in the clouds. So we're just using the same sky color, the same brush that we used to brush in the sky, and putting in a couple little shadows there. And that'll just about do our sky for today. Just some fun, easy clouds, some swirling brush motions. Then we're going to have a line of pine trees just using a fan brush. And I think this is just going into some emerald green, maybe mixed with something. But you can mix whatever color you want for your trees. That's just what I wanted for mine today. Now I'm just kind of deciding what I want that main ground color to be. And I didn't like straight emerald green, so I tried mixing it and came up with this kind of muddy color. And this is good for a base layer, I decided, so I'm going with it. Didn't want to spend any more time mixing up colors, because you can always go over something later. And this is good enough to start. So mixing colors, you don't have to be an expert at it. You just grab some colors that you think you generally want, mix them together, see what happens, and then try again next time. And eventually you'll get better at mixing colors, and you see what does what. And that's just the way I take, the approach I take when I'm doing that, because I just want to have fun painting and don't need to take time to learn exactly how to do something. Just try it. And that's my favorite way to do it. Just try it. Just get out there and do it. That's the best way for me to learn. When you're putting in land like this, you gotta really remember how you want the shape and form of your land to be. So the farther back you go, you're gonna want to keep the angles pretty straight, because if you have stronger angles farther back in your painting, it's gonna really show that you have a deep part, like a ravine back there. And then as you get closer, you can be more steep with your angles. Or if you want a ravine back there, have some steep angles. But I just kind of put in the idea of where I wanted all the ground to be in this painting all at once. And we're kind of taking this painting in sections. So we're doing what we're going to cover up later with the other parts of the painting first, because that's the easiest way to go in. It can be hard to try and put something like these parts in later, because it's hard to get that edge exactly correct. But we're going to cover the parts of this up, which is why we're doing it in this order. So when you're painting, just think about what's going to be in the back of your painting and what's going to be covering up those parts, and paint the parts that are being covered up first. So as you can see, I did end up putting an emerald green over that darker color, which is good. I ended up liking this. I wasn't liking that under color, and you can always just go over and change it, and it ended up being kind of nice because we have more shades in our ground today, and I kind of like how it ended up. And when you're doing that, it's best to put a light color on top of a dark color, and if possible, put an opaque color down first, and then a transparent color over top of that. And you'll know you have a transparent color because you can see through it to some degree to whatever's behind that, whether it be canvas or a different color of paint. Now we're just kind of blocking in the rest of that water. Decided to go with just straight blue like we have in the sky. Thought that would look nice, and I end up liking it. Then we'll go over that later with white to add a little bit of action, like there's some little rocks in there, and we'll find where those waterfalls live and how excited they are, how fast our water's moving. I had a lot of fun with this painting. I always have lots of fun painting waterfalls, and this was really good practice for it. I encourage you to try something like this if you want to learn how to paint some waterfalls. So when you have a waterfall, you have to show that the land behind the waterfall is higher than the land after the waterfall. So what I'm doing here to show that is adding some rough cliff faces, just little rock faces, at our waterfall. And I'm just blocking in the color for that now. And that is going to tell our eye that the land behind it is higher than the land in front of it, which is going to be helpful and really tricks your eye into seeing the depth of the painting and the height of the waterfall. If you just tried to put a waterfall in but didn't have anything to indicate that the height had changed, it would look really silly. So not only is this a good way to practice waterfalls, but it's a good way to practice rocks. Forgot about those waterfalls on the side, so just gonna get the water down, the base water. And like everything else, you want to paint what's in back and behind everything first, and then what's going to go over top of that second. So we're painting down all that water color, that base color, that dark color. Then we're going to cover it with white, which is lighter than the blue. Just need to find those waterfalls on the sides, what those rocks look like. Like I like to say, you can use any colors you want to with paintings like these. I just went with some traditional colors. Maybe try this painting at sunset or at sunrise. Maybe try it in the winter. Maybe there's some snow on the ground. You can do all sorts of fun things with paintings. The same ones, I bet you could paint in 100 different ways. That might not be fun for you, or it might be fun for you to see the same painting done by you 10 different ways, and to see your progress on how much better you've gotten at something. Just trying to do a little bit of precision with getting this part of the rock in. Just roughly put the brown in, and now we're just getting closer to what we want. And then after this, everything will be blocked in, and then we can start adding some detail and some form to these rocks and waterfalls. Doesn't that look like a nice day? That you just want to go out there and go for a walk, enjoy those woods, hear the water rushing by. Maybe think about that when you're painting a painting like this. Think about that water rushing by and what is it doing? The whoosh of the water. How fast is your stream going? So we're just putting in where we want those waterfalls to be, and the stroke we're using there is a slight curve on a straight line at the top and then straight down, and trying to do a complete stroke with the paint staying all on the page, straight down. And just kind of throwing in some action into that water there. Scrubbing in a little bit of movement with our brush. Then we'll go over with some splashes and different things after that, like there's some rocks. Got just a little bit of a wider brush for these larger waterfalls. And then use that to make some splashes. I really liked how that splash made, and that's just made by pushing down with the brush. Pushing the bristles right into the page. I really liked how that looks, so I put them everywhere. And you can just try different things like that, like pushing the bristles into the page, or just lightly tapping them. And all these different things will do different things on your page, and maybe you can find something that you like. That's just what I did there. Now I was trying to decide what kind of colors I wanted to use for these rocks, and I decided to go a little bit lighter than that. So when you're making these, you want to have a very light color towards the top in a straight line. That's pretty thin, and that's going to be at the top of all of them. And then you go straight down with a little bit of a darker color in between those straight lines that are horizontal. So, to say again, you do those horizontal lines towards the top or wherever you want to ridge, and then you do vertical lines, vertical strokes down between the lines that you've created, and that shows that the rock face is vertical, that you're going down, that there's height to it. And I think we just skipped ahead there. I think part of my video got cut out. But as you can see, we're a little bit further along. So after this, we're going to do just a couple more details in this painting. Now we're going to go through and make some little trees, some little branches. Just a nice little feature to a painting that can make it really stand out. Some details like that. And I thought it'd be fun to practice them. I tried something like this on a previous painting, and I ended up liking it, so I decided to practice a little bit more. So we're just going to finish up putting in all those little branches, all those little trees like I said we would, and I like them. They add lots of nice detail to paintings. And with that, we're just going to have a finished painting here. Glad you could join me today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you painted along with me, I hope you had some fun.